That was such a crazy, dramatic game between Liverpool and Newcastle. It had everything. Goals, sending offs, an amazing finish. Liverpool were not good. We weren't good. I'm going to talk about 5 talking points that are buzzing around in my head immediately after the match. Before we get into that, I'm Lawrence on Liverpool, a brand new Liverpool fan channel. The goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Help me get there. Let's get into this. All right, the first talking point is kind of a general overall reaction to the match, which is that Liverpool were not the better team, but definitely the luckier team. Gravenberch's goal was completely against the run of play. Newcastle had us pinned back. They had a 5-man midfield that was just holding us in. And every time we tried to play through those 5 men, they'd instantly press the receiver of the ball and got the ball back immediately. They had so many more touches in the final third than Liverpool did because we just couldn't hold the ball in their half of the pitch at all. So we just resorted to trying to hold it in defence for a bit before eventually trying to start an attack and then giving the ball away. But a lot of credit has to be given to Newcastle. It did exactly what they did to us in the cup final, which was make it rough, fragmented, break up any flow, kind of let us ponder around with the ball in our own half, and then as soon as we start an attack, just press like mad and get the ball back. They did it very, very well. They were hungrier, they were more physical, their heads were in the game more than the Liverpool players, it seemed. And then we got that lucky break with Gakpo laying it off for Gravenberch, Gravenberch thinking, might as well take a shot, deflection off Shah and into the back of the net. And suddenly we're 1-0 up and like, wow, how did we get there? I didn't even celebrate it. I had a sigh of relief. That's what I had, a sigh of relief. At least we have a 1-goal cushion now. I didn't even think we'd keep a clean sheet. At least we have a 1-goal cushion. As long as we can just score as many as Newcastle score, for the rest of the game, we'll be all right. Now, the scoring part, thankfully, Gordon cannot finish. Thankfully, he's just not a finisher. He's more of an assister or a build-up play winger. We were very lucky there too. He had several opportunities with his head, crosses and sliding in with his feet. And we just escaped a goal or two there. If we had been 2-0 down by the end of the first half, I would not have been surprised. And then later on, once we're a man up, they're down to 10 men. They're still pinning us in to our own defensive half. They're still piling attack after attack after attack, crosses, set pieces, lobbed through balls, and we're looking vulnerable every time. Van Dijk was a complete colossus. Konate beside him did his job too, apart from one lapse in concentration in the first half where Konate almost gifted the ball away. And once again, thankfully, we snuffed it out. But it's just luck. That's my feeling over the whole game, really. Sending off, that was Anthony Gordon being reckless, very dangerous, and stupid, to be honest. Here's my take on Anthony Gordon. He's meant to be a boyhood Liverpool fan. Every time I see him playing against Liverpool, he has an extra amount of spite, like he wants to hurt the players, like he wants to get some kind of revenge on Liverpool. Why? Because we haven't bought you? Is that what's going on? The foul on Van Dijk was ridiculous. He had no chance of getting the ball. Even if you were to somehow block Van Dijk's pass forward, what would have happened? You would have sent it out for a throw-in. You wouldn't have had the ball. You had no players around you. Anthony Gordon, you just wanted to hurt Van Dijk. He actually targeted Van Dijk's standing leg, raked his studs down his calf. That could have been a season-long injury. It could have been a terrible injury for Van Dijk because Gordon was rushing in at max pace and took the standing leg of Van Dijk. So once again, we were lucky there. And then one event that wasn't luck. Ekitike's goal. Gakpo again? Is that a second assist in the same game? Gakpo laying it off to Ekitike after his own shot is blocked. Ekitike straight away, first time, low driven, bang into the bottom corner, left corner of the goal. People calling him Darwin Nunez 2.0. He ain't Darwin Nunez 2.0. He is accurate. He is lethal. So far, anyway, in pre-season and in these first 2 games, he's showing he knows how to finish. I'm not really sure where the stats came that people were saying he's a bad finisher. So far, he's been brilliant. I might be proven wrong in the rest of the season. I hope not, because I actually don't think Liverpool are going to end up buying Isak. And we'll talk about that in another video. My fourth talking point, however, is how Virgil is not adapting as well to the Premier League as Ekitike is, where Ekitike looks sharp, looks like to have a good amount of awareness. He's building up great rapport with Gakpo, a great understanding of movement and awareness. They're interplaying a lot at the moment. Virgil isn't. He's seeming a step off the pace in every single attack. I don't know whether he's not used to the intensity, if that's caught him by surprise, if the physicality has caught him by surprise, if the way Newcastle and Bournemouth last week are shutting him down with 2 players straight away, stopping him from weaving his magic. I've not seen this magic yet in a Liverpool shirt. Not to say he won't adapt in time. Give him a few more games, give him up to 10 games, see what he's like in 10 games' time. Right now, he is a step behind everyone in the Liverpool attack. And I touched on that with Ekitike and Gakpo forming a good relationship. Ekitike does drift more over to that left-hand side to interplay with Gakpo more. And Virgil has been drifting over to the right to work with Salah more. And I'm guessing that's part of the strategy. So they end up with 4 attacking players along the top band. However, the understanding between Salah and Virgil is not gelling as quickly as the understanding between Ekitike and Gakpo. So that might be hurting Virgil. I think it's hurting Salah. Salah is less involved in games. He still pops up with magic, including the assist that we'll talk about in a bit. But he's seemingly less involved. He's not got Trent feeding him through. He's not got all the other players seeing him as a focal point now. There's also Ekitike and Gakpo busy on the left. It's almost like taking attention away from the right. And Virgil is not helping that. So I want to see Virgil sharpen up. I want to see him do more one-touch passing rather than try and control it and do a little dribble and then a pass. I want to see a lot of tiki-taka from him, really, to stop players shutting him down, to stop him feeling the pressure of that intensity and therefore seeming like he's a step behind. Basically, speed up, mate. Because he's clearly full of class. You can just see that in every touch he does have. He's just too ponderous at the moment. And I'm not sure why. And then we had an absolute saviour in Rio Ngamo. Somehow we get pulled from 2-0 up back to 2-2 by 10 men. And this is what I'm saying. Liverpool just were not great today. We weren't. How did we get pinned back in that last half hour by a 10-man Newcastle? How did that happen? They just wanted it more, it seemed. We were too ponderous, too negative in our thinking. We didn't hold the ball. And suddenly it's 2-2 and Newcastle are looking more likely to score a winner. It's ridiculous. And then Rio Ngamo comes on. And I wrote, this would be magic. Literally, but this would be magical. And when Rio scored, I clapped so hard, my hands are still stinging. They're still hurting. It was a beautiful moment. You can't underestimate how much pressure young Rio was under in that moment. Think about it. Only a few minutes left of the game in extra time. The whole Newcastle crowd roaring. The ball comes to him. He's left alone. Sometimes when it's almost like too clear-cut a chance, you overthink it. There was no overthinking it from Rio. There was no anxiety or hesitation. But he also didn't snatch at the opportunity. It was a beautifully curved first-time finesse shot right into the side of the net. And how does a 16-year-old who's 17 on Friday, how does a 16-year-old have that kind of composure and confidence? He's special. I'm telling you, Rio Ngamo is special. We need to consistently give him 10, 20 minutes at the end of matches in the Premier League. And by the second half of the Premier League, he'll be starting games. I'm telling you this now. Credit has to go to Salah for the assist, to Szoboszlai for the awareness that Ngamo was in a better position behind him to dummy it, similar to how Darwin dummied a shot in pre-season that I think it was Gakpo finished in similar fashion. So credit has to go to them too. And I suppose to the whole Liverpool team for having the balls to attack at the end of the match after having just been pulled back They weren't crushed. Mentality monsters again, right? Liverpool never know when they're beaten. You have to give full credit to them. So those are my 5 main thoughts immediately after the match. What do we do going forward? We have to work on our defense. Once again, we were too vulnerable to lobbed through balls. We were too vulnerable to crosses and set pieces, too vulnerable to the counter attack, and lacking in ideas of what to do when a team is willing to press you like crazy in their own half. We weren't quick enough in the transitions to catch Newcastle out of position. We allowed them to get their 5-man midfield into a straight line right in front of our defence, saying to Liverpool defenders, I dare you, try and pass through us, because whoever you're passing it to, we've got 2 or 3 people ready to press like crazy onto the receiver. And the receivers weren't quick enough. That's what I was saying about the one-touch passing. The receivers weren't quick enough to immediately play onto someone else and do a bit of tiki-taka to get past that press. But the defending needs to sharpen up. Today, it wasn't like the problem against Bournemouth, where we found the fullbacks too far forward. Actually, they were both pinned back for large periods of time, and yet we still seemed vulnerable. So I'm not sure what's going on there. Quick note on Szoboszlai as a right-back player before Bradley came on to take his place and allow him to move back into midfield where he's a bit more comfortable. He did great. There was one moment earlier on with a Livramento overlap where he just didn't quite he didn't quite shape his body in order to allow him to match the run of Livramento if that pass was played. And so Livramento was able to get past him. And that's just not knowing how to play right back, right? I mean, that comes with experience. But other than that, he shut down Barnes, locked down that right-hand side and did a very good job, I thought. So to summarise, we had some fortune in Gravenberch's goal, which was deflected from Shah. We had some fortune in Anthony Gordon being stupid. We had some class in Ekitike being lethal. And then we had some absolute magic after a period of real drama from Rio Ngamo, once again making me feel like we've got our own Lamine Yamal. Share with me your thoughts. Do you agree with my take on the game? Do you have a different set of opinions? How do you feel? Are you exhausted? I am. Once again, before you go, brand new Liverpool fan channel, and I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year. If you've watched this far, give me a subscribe, and I appreciate that. And I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Bye-bye.